on being a non-monetizing YouTuber in a time of potentially excessive growth. So growth can be different in different places. So I'm filming this Monday, 8 April 2024. I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, and I was raised in Seattle, and I've lived here for over 20 years. So I'm filming this northern suburbs of Seattle, King County, Washington State, United States of America. And so we are a city notorious for boom and bust, and are still on the boom part of that. And so with certain companies and certain industries here, we've been more heavily impacted, especially by like tech stock market crashes than a lot of the rest of the country, United States of America. We are been consistently a top performer in terms of fastest growth, like in terms of population in the United States of America. Then there's the housing market that's been really hot and undergoing big growth. We have the minimum wage is $15 an hour, and they're pushing for $18 an hour. And then like other places, we have inflation growth as well. And it's consistently, the number of people with college degrees continues to grow. We're typically top 3 for number of, or percentage of people that have graduated with a college degree, bachelor's degree or higher. So one of the most educated countries in America, consistently, like top 3. So, if there's a place and a person, so to speak, the Seattleites, us people who were raised here, like me, Seattle child, and live here, well, we can talk about excessive growth, right? Potentially excessive growth, because some people in places might only go through one of those things, whereas Seattle, it's everything. So what's it like being a non-monetizing YouTuber? Well, it's kind of, put it in Seattle terminology, typically applied to the city, be it inside and out, of the boom and bust. I'm living the bust while everybody else lives the boom, right? If there's no money to hand out, there is no monetizing, right? There's no money to be paid by. So this is the happy solution for everything. It's not necessarily what I had in mind when I started out, but was something I was like, it'd be cool. It's not, a lot of social media platforms have businessmen or, people with jobs outside of what they do, right? That's kind of the norm, especially for the people at the top. And I was like, it would be cool to be the person at the top and be a non-monetizer, doing something for the community, as opposed to, here's a video, watch it so I can make money. It is a little bit, well, I'm a non-monetizer, so I have a stronger stance on that than people who do make money off of their YouTube videos, right? Yeah. So it'd be cool to see one of us as a non-monetizer, so YouTuber at the top. It's a platform where that can be done, and it would put it leagues ahead of social media platforms, where it's, somebody with a lot of side hustle to get to that position. So I was thinking through, since I'm not really, the question becomes, well, and I'll link to my YouTube non-monetizer income playlist. So this is revisiting the topic of YouTube non-monetizer income, and putting it through a potentially excessive growth, generally / broadly / socially lens. And so what are ways that I can grow my channel? And then if I'm not going to go the monetizing path, then what are options, right, for making income and like that kind of thing related to my YouTube? And so, well, there's a lot of people, the monetizers go for number of subscribers, number of views, number of likes, and I'm like, I've consumed over 5,000 videos, liked over 5,000 videos. I've made and published over 3,000 videos. And so I've kind of hunkered down on projects, and I enjoy that. So if there were alignment in being a non-monetizing YouTuber still and making money related to my YouTube stuff, that would be very cool. And keeping that transparent as best as I could if that did happen. Just to keep it clear that I'm a non-monetizing YouTuber. Maybe I should put that on my About tab. Non-monetizer. Non-monetizing YouTuber or something like that. But what are the ways that I can grow? So, well, I think maintenance, maintain. For a lot of my life, maintenance has been, I've been through a bunch of different situations and stuff, and so maintenance, it requires growth to maintain, if that makes any sense. Though the growth might not be obvious, so thinking that through, okay, if applicable, there's stuff like topics that might actually help the platform grow. So taking a topic that might be sensitive or a tough topic for me, and reframe it in the video to be a positive. I take away the tough part and think of, especially since I do have stuff that is like the thing that happened to me, the person hurting me or attacking me or whatever violated YouTube community guidelines. Think of it like that. So how would I take a situation that I've been through and talk about it? Like, people were like, Tanis, we want to know what it was like when you got raped. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be talking about that, right? It's a violation of community guidelines, and I do, and while my content is not made for kids, I also do not want it to be age restricted. I was a teenager when I was raped, and so there's a reminder that if I did talk about that, right, speaking from experience, it's relevant for teenagers, at least one teenager, and I know people who were younger than me who've gone through similar things. So it's a way of saying the topic itself might be inappropriate to age restrict, though that doesn't mean YouTube wouldn't. So how would I talk about it? I guess so showing personal growth. So like, I think one of the things I do well on this channel, and that maybe should maintain, is talking through conceptualization of things. All right, I don't always know, and so showing the personal growth and talking through it. So we can take that scenario as a personal growth. So not providing explicit detail and taking into mind my age at the time I was raped. So I was raped 2 separate occasions, same person, multiple times, both times. What could I talk about that is not a violation of community guidelines and is not sensitive to a younger audience? I'll show the growth now. Example by do it in this video. So when the guy we lived in the same compound in different buildings, and he was trying to force me to my room, and I took all of my body weight and pushed him away from my room. So instead of him raping me in my home, he raped me in his room. I fought back. I was like, not in my home, you don't, right? I was like, that would have completely changed the entire experience of living there, in the sense of like, I did find a home in my tiny little room, but it wasn't that tiny, but in my little room. That would have completely altered the meaning of that room to me, this space where I lived. So that's one thing, right, is the setting was different because I fought back. Physically, I did. It wasn't something I just thought of in my head and then everything was like, oh my gosh, he changed his mind. No, I literally went away from my room to him when he was trying to take me there. So there's one thing. Then let's see, something else. What's something abstracted about the act itself that I could talk about? Non-triggering and non-graphic, non-explicit. So there were 2 separate occasions. The first occasion he raped me. He raped me for a time period of approximately 2.5 hours without stopping. I was training in middle distance running at the time, so I had really good endurance. And I think he really liked that, which is a part of why he raped me again, right? I don't know what he did with other women or anything like that, but there were comments, he made about liking my physique and getting to do what he was doing to me for a longer period of time, okay? He got multiple times in a 2.5 hour chunk of time, and then the second time it was more like 3 hours, right? And right? Which some people go, what, you're good in bed? No. Okay, I was at that point in time like an Energizer bunny with my running, right? So there's a very linked and very intimate story with my running training, running performance, and being sexually assaulted, right? Because the rapist did make comment on my physique and my energy levels and stuff like that, which was a result of my running training. So there's like, that's something. I look at this personal growth. That's something I could actually work through if I want to, but I don't, but I am. So, and again, I am Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. That's something, right? It's still something that it does not bother me as much as it used to, but it does, like, as I get my middle distance running body physique is my term. Just like, I've shut it out, kind of the things that happened, and then the problem with that is sometimes the things come back and I'm like, but I haven't worked through them, right? So yeah, there's one form of working through it. Just make it non-triggering and a positive of, well, you know, a lot of people out there are just running for themselves or running for money or running for whatever, and I'm like, I'm running to try and work out. It's not my problem, right? It's a problem that happened to me. You know, I hate working through it sometimes. So that's an area of personal growth. It's stuff like that, right? That's just, well, I guess that's just, it's one example. I typically call it like one example, but it's multiple occasions, 2 or more, and then multiple times on those occasions. So there's one example of personal growth, is taking tough topics and making them positive, showing personal growth, my personal growth. So there we go. I'm being a non-monetizing YouTuber in a time of potentially excessive growth. Again, filming this in the northern Seattle suburbs on Monday, 8 April 2024.